Hey, this is Drew from Old Town News, Owensville. I'm actually reporting from my house. And the last couple of weeks have been really hairy for me. They want to shut me up. And it's not just snitches and informants. It's not Owensville. It's not just Owensville Police Department officers and the chief police. It's not just Sheriff Idler and the Gasconade County Sheriff's Department and deputies. It's also Bobby Kyle, supposed to be ex-narcotics agent for raping teenagers, and his CIs, his female CIs. It's also politicians, not just in the state of Missouri, but also in Arkansas, and also in the state of New York, and in Colorado. It's not just people here in the United States. It's also people like the country of Canada, Russia. It probably goes on further than that. But it's also high-powered, very supposedly very rich people like Elon Musk. You can ask Bernie Sanders on how my wife asked him, how would you hide your identity if you feared that someone would want to kill you or kidnap your wife and your children? So Bernie Sanders said, well, exactly what you said. I'd hire someone to be the front guy, to say he's so-and-so, but not actually use his name. Just say that he's the one that done all of his accolades. Because see, me and my wife bought a lot of stock in GameStop. You can check GameStop. They have a list, a ledger of all the stock that was bought back in 2006 and 2007. Their stock then was just a penny stock. At the most, 63 cents a share. At its lowest, 42 cents a share. Me and my wife were just talking about stock. And she goes, well, husband, I was like, wife, what's a penny stock? And she was reading them off to me from the newspaper where she lived at that time, was in the state of New York. She got to GameStop. She read off two more. And I was like, what was that one? And she read off the one before GameStop. I said, nope. The next one. She goes, GameStop? I was like, yeah, that's the one. Buy the shit out of its stock. Well, I also told my wife, woman, you want to know what's going to make us rich? Richer than fuck. And I had my Tylenol settlement, my Chuckles Dentistry settlement. She had her money that her dad left her whenever she owned half of Mitchell Law in Oswego, New York on Euclid Avenue, or Euclid Boulevard, or Euclid Street. It's 316. Uncle Mitch come and see me in Altmar, New York, after a bull, or Altmer. It's ALTMAR. Well, anyway, after a bull, young bull, fucking headbutted my right elbow and shoulder whenever I was reaching in to unchain the gate. And he come and see me with my wife's brother in a green with tan top, 4-wheel drive Jeep Wrangler. But anyway, these people are trying to get all these things that me and my wife done together. My female serial rapist, Lori Ann Sheldon, and also Jody Wayman. She is a prostitute from Canada. She eluded capture because she's not just a prostitute facing charges, she's also a murdering prostitute facing charges. She eluded capture by saying she was married to Daniel Wayman, and Daniel Wayman is actually her brother. They come down here. She went on her way and tried to find a rich man, Victoria Sheldon. Well, Dan went on and married Jean. They cut out Jean's tongue so she couldn't tell anybody. They also crippled her fingers so she could not type. They tried to say that they were related to my wife, Joanne Marie Sheldon, but because she was kidnapped, they called her Jillian Marie Tyler. Well, she kept that name as a surname. They murdered her in 2014. They set her up to be raped at Steamers. Steamers is an establishment that used to have outside bands come out. And they weren't the only place. There was 2 other places. Well, they started bitching about the loud music, the noise. Well, you guys are the ones that voted it in. And then they bitched about somebody's place that I know, Club Crystal. They said there was prostitution going on there. There wasn't. It was just women dressed in lingerie, not showing their vagina, not showing their nipples. Of course, you're going to see their booty through lace. Well, anyway, they had her club shut down. They stole the sign. Well, Crystal, just to let you know, I helped my wife design your sign. Favorite colors, and what's the most striking feature of you? Your eyes. I will give you that. I've met Crystal myself personally. I actually fell in love with her. Not meaning to, not trying to, not starstruck or anything like that. Whenever I went to introduce myself, I sound like a babbling idiot, a total fucking retard, and excuse my words, but that is what it was. I said, hi, my name is, and that's exactly how it was. It is no lie. And I just thought to myself, dear Lord, this woman's going to think I'm a freaking total imbecile, redneck. But anyway, David, her husband at one time, basically told her she couldn't get into heaven for her past career choice unless she gave everything to the church. Well, the church isn't going to want that, for one. It even says it in the Bible. For 2, my wife bought him a pair of shoes. And I'll get back to the Steamers part. Bought him a pair of shoes because he walked with a limp. One shoe is 1 inch thicker than the other. The sole is. The shoes were not cheap. My wife paid for it. Well, anyway, back to the Steamers part. Michelle Sheldon which her married name, last time I knew, was Michelle Malucci. She goes by Shelley. Her nickname in school was Smelly Shelley. And her supposed sister, this child appeared while Michelle's father was gone for 2 weeks on vacation. He comes back. Jody Wayman said, "Hey, I was pregnant. Here's your daughter." Well, I don't know if it was actually a child of theirs or a child that they kidnapped from Disneyland down in Florida. But that's child sex trafficking and human trafficking. And I tried to get a hold of the Trump administration his first term, calling the comment line, asking if there was an address that I could send him a road atlas with what I knew. Up and down the eastern seaboard and across the U.S., down the I-80 corridor, which is funny. That's how they got rid of Heidi Allen's body. They kidnapped her because she was beautiful. They cut up another girl's face in Oswego, New York, with a box knife because she was beautiful. And because they tortured her, threatened her, and everything, she didn't speak up. Fear of her life. And they can't punish you for it. I seen her. Yeah, she has the scars, but I tell you what, she is still a beautiful and gorgeous woman. And if I ever get my money that I'm supposed to have, I will pay for her plastic surgery to remove each and every one of those scars to the best of a plastic surgeon's ability, myself, out of my own pocket, no matter what the cost. But anyway, they also stole, Michelle and Lori, between them, the aunt that was working as the barmaid, okay, they stole and they kept Jill there long enough for Carol Lyle Manette, Carole, just like Carol Shelby, which was Lori's husband's forced husband, because she had Sean rape him. She orchestrated it in the part. Sean was 18, Lee was 14, Lori was 21. November 14th, 1970. But anyway, they stole my wife's car keys to her red Monte Carlo SS 06. She loved Monte Carlos. She'd get one every 3 years, but I think she got them more often. She just didn't want to tell me, but hey, I didn't care. They even got rid of the body of a Monte Carlo that I was going to make a rear-wheel drive and make my drag car and go on either Pinks or Street Outlaws. It was in the garage of our house, the house that we bought from her mom. But anyway, they stole her keys and her phone so she couldn't call. And then the barmaid shut down the public phone. And she goes, "Oh, well, I already shut them down for the night." No, you're supposed to wait until every patron, especially women, get home safely. Well, she wanted to push her out. And it was cold. It was New Year's. Well, 2005, my wife was brutally raped because Caroline Manette was with Christopher. It's a female. Her name is Chris. Well, anyway, they lived in Fairview, New York. He drove her all the way home and drove all the way back. And whenever Jill tried to tell her, "Oh, you just fucked my husband," she goes, "No, I don't." I've got the man of my dreams. He lives in Missouri. You're looking at him right now. Her husband, Chris's, raped his own daughter on prom night. Well, he raped my wife at the house that we bought from her mom and her husband, Harvey Hastings, from Hastings, New York. And he raped her, and I tell this to the United States Pentagon in a top secret, high security level folder, along with a copy of the lawsuit that I sent to the United States Supreme Court. And I just wanted a file number on it. But I was always going to beckon Congress for what they've done. He brutally raped her. They sit there and say, oh, she wanted to be raped. No, that was between me and my wife. We got married in 2007. It was basically fantasy. Has anyone ever had a fantasy? Well, there's also a safe word between me and my wife, just in case she got nervous and scared, because my wife was a complete virgin. I met her at the age of 32. She was 27. She had never had sex with anybody, not even a hand jigger or a blowjob at prom. And trust me, I'm not lying about any of it. You want to know who her prom date was? Her best friend, Sherry Reed. Her name is spelled Cheri, just like the adult men's magazine, but enunciated a different way. But anyway, these people now, they try to kill me, and they zoomed through where an officer, Gasconade County officer, had his lights flashing. He was talking to me on Double E because they had tried to kill me. They followed me all the way out on Hecker Road, trying to kill me. Well, some things I can't talk about, but trust me. They zoomed by, the officer took off, and he tells me to stay on the road after they had put it this way. This is how close the car was to the chest, my chest. And that ain't no lie. So I'm supposed to stay on the road? Okay. So I changed the side of the road. Well, kind of funny. He had his blue and reds on, or somebody had their blue and reds on, but their headlights were turned out. Why are you going to turn out your headlights if you're worried about me? He still has yet to come and talk to me. Apparently he pulled him over and they said, oh, I work for narcotics. Well, I know someone else that works for narcotics, and he's also killed one, if not two, chief police of two different towns. One was Rosebud. The other one, I do believe, was Chief Hutchinson of Osage County. Bobby Kyle, right here in Gasconade County, a lot of you know him. He has sex with his female CIs. Well, whenever I was 13, a friend of mine that was 15 was out after curfew. He took her down to Pig Hollow in Owensville Memorial Park, forced her to have oral sex on him. And then he grabbed her, ripped her dress, ripped her underwear off, and didn't just take her virginity. He also raped her in her ass. He knew I saw it. He cuffed me to a tree down there almost a month and a half later and beat me with a nightstick and left me for dead. Uncuffed me and left me for dead. I was bruised. So I was 13. I was bruised from underneath my armpits down to my hips and from the base of my spine, my neck, all the way down to my tailbone with a nightstick. Trust me, I'm one tough son of a bitch. I'm a United States Army brat. Trust me, Bobby Kyle, you ain't supposed to be on the force. Oh yeah, you see that, don't you? In the picture, I just now noticed. So you tell me what's up. I'm not lying. Women, female children, be very cautious of Robert Kyle, Bobby Kyle. Be cautious of the guy that supposedly took over his spot for the narcotics task force. For this guy, his mentor was Bobby Kyle, and I know what he done. And trust me, I know some female CIs. They only did what they had to keep him from raping them. I could give their names, but I'm not. I considered the guy my brother. He took the place of my little brother whenever my little brother died in a car accident up underneath a semi out on Highway 50 underneath Road Steel in a Firebird, 1981, blue with a black top. It wasn't vinyl though. And let me tell you something about these judges. Helfrich says my life isn't worth anything. Well, Helfrich, if you want to go by you being a judge, well, let me put it to you this way. I think I can do a better job. And you want to say, oh, well, he doesn't have his bar. He doesn't comprehend. Well, you didn't comprehend the law because right there in front of me, after my case was called, you called on your mentor to tell you how something is used and when it should be used. He was the defense attorney. He was also the assistant attorney general for the state of Missouri from 1972 to 1976. How's it going, David? Well, he did this in open court. Well, Ada Bray, my house, I had the document in front of you. You wouldn't look at it because the person I bought the house from just would not show up for court. He showed up the very first court date, but then, boom, he was off, disappeared. And whenever I went outside, I went down and his car was still in the parking lot, but he didn't stand up in court. And Ada, his attorney even said, well, defense has actually showed a document to me that proves that this is not landlord-tenant. It's that he purchased the house. Well, Sean, and I'm talking about the woman for personal property taxes in Gasconade County. How did another year appear whenever I asked to go back all the way to 2007? How did one just miraculously materialize on file whenever there was only one? Now there's another one. Now I'm going to lose my house. And because it's still in Kent's name, because Ada Bray wouldn't hear it, document there, he signed it himself. He took the document to his own notary. And that document stated, and she even told him, from the time you sign this, you are forever barred from the property your family is to, and your previous beneficiary of that property is no longer any good. Well, the only thing that was missing, hey, I had down all the information that they have down on your personal property tax bill that identifies your property. They don't have the degrees or anything, southeast, southwest, northman, this many feet, that many feet. They don't have that. They have township, blah, 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 or if you live in the county. It was all on there, and they said it wasn't good enough. And guess what? Legal size paper is not the right size paper to put a legal document on. And the 3-inch header, I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. Other attorneys have messed up and not had that 3-inch header so they can stamp it. Well, let me put it to you this way. I've had a lot of documents filed, not just in Missouri, Arkansas, New York. They stamp over it. The stamper is different than the type of the document. They wouldn't file it at Gasconade County. You want to know why? They got a fund here for the cops, apparently, to use money to buy any property that is back on its taxes. They buy them up faster than the richest guy here in this county. And guess what? Randy Belask, how in the hell does city administrator make $192,000 in a year, but the mayor only makes $62,000 to $64,000? Each Board of Alderman member only makes somewhere in between $63,000 and $68,000. Don't you think that should all be the same? But anyway, now we have a mayor, Mr. Wade. How you doing? You should remember me from Bell, Missouri. I had the news people down and get a hold of you and your bulldog, watchdog, Tony Baratek, that you'd sick on people. You wouldn't do anything to him. He sprayed a 14-year-old while in cuffs with pepper spray. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 times. And even the EMS worker had to holler at Tony and say, it's enough. Because they were trying to clean off his face because he had sprayed him so many times. That's abusing the child. The child wasn't being erratic. He was trying to get the stuff off of him after he was cuffed. So how's it going, Mr. Wade? And Tony Baratek also had a child with a 16-year-old. I met her whenever she was 18 or 19. She was working at Dollar General in Bell. The child looks just like Tony Baratek. Well, Chief Griffin told all of his officers not to do anything for me. You know, kind of like what the federal law books say on how to deal with Indians. Tell them whatever it takes to subdue them, but don't do anything at all. That's federal law, Chief Griffin. Hey, Finley, I don't need my paperwork. You know who I am. All I need is my damn driver's license, because you know they stole it, and it's for a knife. And why are you in custody of a knife that another officer, He took it from you. No, he didn't. I handed it to him in a Walmart bag. And there's other officers. And trust me, be leery whenever a cop answers your 911 call or pulls you over in this county. And don't forget Franklin County, because Sheriff Topke, all it takes is the right amount of money, and he'll make sure you're convicted of anything. I know. 1991. And I've been suffering ever since. But anyway, if they don't do anything about these other things, plus the other perpetrators from all the little kids being raped down on Main Street, and it's the building behind Los Primos. The entrance to the upstairs used to be from First Street, Main Street. Now it's gone. The people were Keith Gillard. He spent time in prison. Kathy Gillard has not. She raped me. I was 10. She had a bite on her hand the second time she tried to rape me, because my home rapist took me there. He was also one. Well, there was Keith Gillard that did time. Kenny Remmert, Kent Michael Helling, John Manuel Durbin. All those kids deserve justice. But Felicia Mendenhall, she wouldn't even take the report. She wouldn't even take the names down to investigate. Felicia Mendenhall, I witnessed, because I was there, turned in a document saying that I was going to leave this country over 2 years ago and renounce my citizenship. She goes, "Oh, you got to fill out this travel document." I'm not traveling there. I'm leaving. This country doesn't want to pay its debt to me for my designs. I no longer want to defend it, and I no longer want to live here. Call me a terrorist, President Trump. I'm not. And you damn well know it. They haven't paid me one dime. And Andrew Cuomo, I would have loved to have seen you on the debate trail, on the debate stage for the state of New York governor's mansion. You want to know why? I would have punched you with the worst dick sucker that you could have ever imagined. I would have brought it from hell, because you pushed up on my wife and tried to reach up underneath my wife's skirt. She was a politician's wife. And you say she wasn't? Well, she was. Because I ran for office 2010. I also ran for office 2006. Punk, you did that in 2007. And I would have loved to have crushed you. I wouldn't even have shook your hand. Maybe I would have grabbed it with my right and laid the dick sucker with my left. Ask Michael Mitchell why he didn't grab my right hand to shake it whenever I introduced myself in the basement of a house in Oswego, New York. And I even told a cop later that night, I don't give a fuck about your badge. You make that bride cry on her wedding night, I'm going to try and drive my shoulder all the way back to your spine, even with your flak jacket on. I wouldn't bullshit. And in prison, 12 punches, I took a man's life. They registered my hands. None of these guys will come to my face They break in and they steal my shit. Cops won't do anything. They even stole my show car. And Mike Reefner, let me tell you something. Someone stole the keys out of your office, apparently, because the keys go to H&M storage sheds. And I know who it was, Mike. You know me very well. Drew. How's it going, brother? GTA Car Club member. I know I ain't been around well. It's because they stole my caddy. They can't find it in 6 months. Well, Michelle Bradley said and confessed that she had the title out of the trunk and the keys that were in the driver's seat. The battery was totally ruined and dead, disconnected. So, how'd you get that? How'd you get my laptop? How'd you get the copy of the lawsuit that none of you guys should know about, or the top secret file that was sent to the Pentagon? How about that? This is Drew from Old Town News, Owensville reporting. I'm uploading this, and trust me, by the 4th of July, I'll be at the United States-Mexico border, crossing over to go to the U.S. Embassy to renounce my citizenship. And right now, because I've tried, and they'd break in, steal my Social Security, gold, right? Ain't that right, Danny? My corporation, they said, New York, Florida, Texas. Well, it should only be in Owensville. Asked the Secretary of State. He ran for governor's office here in Missouri. John Ashcroft Jr. Let me put it to you this way, Mike Parsons. I tried to contact you whenever they tried to kill me in 2019. Dennis Hawthorne Jr. just made a copy of it. In immediate danger. Imminent danger. One politician to another. And Fulton Bank wouldn't even send the fax because I didn't have the money to send it. Ain't that a bitch to save a politician's life? An FBI agent, whoever you was, that was at Oswego County Family Courthouse, he said, oh, he don't need protection. He looks like a common citizen. Well, just because I wasn't in my suit, I was wearing my Native American regalia necklace that was black. And I was wearing the original Founding Fathers t-shirt and a pair of blue jean construction carpenter Wrangler jeans that were shorts. You were more worried as I was walking out the door with you. You was more worried about what the female that you were talking to on the phone was wearing and what she was going to cook, and if she was going to wear something sexy for you, and protecting the politician that was running for the state of New York governor's mansion. How about that? And I still have my expired New York driver's license, and I've already told one investigator, Gary West, and he goes, oh, don't show it to me, it's illegal. I said, it's evidence, you dummy. And he padded a file, my file. It was one piece of paper in a folder. He asked the secretary over here at Owensville PD, whenever Rickard was chief police, and Griffin was an officer. He said, give me some paper. She handed him some blank paper. He goes, no, give me more. Well, he made the file about a 1/2 inch thick. Well, my file ain't a half-inch thick. My file in no state, or I should say, let me rephrase that, in all 50 states and U.S. territories, ain't but one piece of paper, and it was Sheriff Topke taking $278,000 to make sure I was convicted and to clear a file off his desk because the female's aunt looked at me at Butcher's Mowers in 2016, looked at Mike and said, that guy doesn't even look nothing like the guy that raped Marcia. So how about that, Sheriff Topke? And you threatened the prosecuting attorney's witness that she better testify the way the prosecution office wanted her to, or you were going to press charges against her mom and dad. And as you notice, this is what my house looks like because the cops of Owensville won't do anything. And it's even worse. You ought to see the shed outside. As you notice, that officer ain't come back for that 5-star building replacement shed. And Ken Helling does not own this property. And I'm telling you, only because Ada Bray didn't do her job? Well, let me put it to you this way. You want to know why? Did you get paid, Ada? By Jody Wayman? Lori Sheldon? Or are you just pissed off I disclosed something from whenever I was 10 and 12 in Owensville Park in a red with a white vinyl top, white pinstripe, gold leaf pinstriping in the quarter glasses back in 1980 and 1982 in the big parking lot whenever it was gravel, before there was a chain link fence, before there were so few trees. There, I'm going to flip this around real quick, if I can. Well, actually, I'll do it this way. Those are the original rims to my 2008 Cadillac CTS4 show car. They said I signed the title. Never have. It was out at a friend of mine's house. I've known him since I was a kid. It doesn't matter what he got in trouble for. Once you pay your debt to society, you are free, and that is not supposed to be used against you. Read the Constitution, judges. Because I am an attorney. I have my bar number. Allison Nelson hates me. She used to hold the highest test score ever on the bar exam. Until one day along came an Indian, a redskin, a savage. And this is like using the N-word to an African American. Tonto. Beat you with your own laws and unprecedented. Achieved a perfect score with no college. I spent my 2.5 hours in a college professor's class, Law 101. Law 101. And it cost me money considering it was only 2.5 fucking hours. But he told me if I could present him with a lawsuit that had premise with merit that he could not beat, he'd graduate me immediately. Well, I listened to his class first hour. Next hour and a half, I come up with it, presented it to him. He thought about it. He goes, Mr. Neal, you just graduated law school. Have a nice day. Can't wait to see you in court and what you do to the judicial system, because the truth is the truth with you. It doesn't matter any other way. And that's what the judicial system is supposed to be. Not like Ken Helling's brother paying $88,000 for him to get out of one of his crimes. Not like Daniel Cuddy agreeing, oh, so long as you don't press charges, I'll agree to never go around her, never see the baby. Leo, I realized who you was. You said you can kick my ass with your feet. Well, that means you a badass, right? Well, my hands are registered. I'm willing to put my hands up against your feet anytime, any day of the week. How about that? This is Drew from Old Town News Reporting, where the news and the truth matters. And if you heard it here, you bet your bottom dollar. I'm bonded for omissions and errors. I am bonded. And trust me, the truth does matter, but they try to hide the actual truth. And they've actually tried to kill me over it. They murdered my wife in 2014. And I still love and miss her today. Doesn't mean I can't be in another relationship or anything like that. But I guess I'll wait until I cross that border and enter the U.S. Embassy in Mexico and renounce my United States citizenship. Because to me, I'll report the news honestly and truthfully, but I no longer want to be a citizen of a country that doesn't pay their debt to their designers of their defense systems. Would you? How about that? Drew reporting. Be cautious of the people that have badges. And trust me, always record. Thank you. Be safe. God bless. Hopefully a great white buffalo, and it is God. I am known by many names. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Hopefully the great white buffalo blesses you too, which is God himself. We just called him something different. Signing off. Don't know how many more times I'll be able to do this. Love and peace, guys. Be careful. Always record whenever a cop's involved. And definitely Bobby Kyle. And for all you snitches and informants, if someone's doing something wrong, that's the truth. Not you trying to place evidence or you trying to set someone up. Ain't that right? And I don't mean the oldest, I mean the youngest whenever I say this. And it's my ex's sons. Cuddy.